accounts receivable model. So that account receivable will keep tracks of the customer details, like what is the balance that you are supposed to receive, the amount, and for what invoice, and what is the balance, and also it will track all the checks that account receivable received from the customer and track it. It's a whole gamut of accounts receivable order process maintained over here in this model regarding the bills and what is the amount paid when and what is the current balance. And the next process is to generate the accounting details entries to GL. So in that we'll go over the post invoice process. So what after creation of invoice, we'll go over this, and then the running of currency conversion process. If the base currency, if the billing currency is not the base currency, which is the reporting currency, then we have to run a currency conversion process so that the reporting business unit will generate the other general ledger reporting requirements. So you have to convert all other currencies to the reporting currency. So that's and also adjust any amounts because of the currency fluctuations. So those processes will be handled by the currency conversion process. And next is running pre-load process. Next is load the GL accounting entry process, running the load year pending item process from for the generated invoices. We will load all the AR pending items. Next step is describing budget checking process. If you want to check any budget before you send the information over to the models, can be checked. And then the next topic of describing single option invoice process. We'll go in detail what is involved with this single option process. And then next one is running the journal generator to load journals from billing. So we run a process, and the journals are journal accounting lines are created from billing. So the next step for you to run the journal JGen process, so that it loads the journal that was generated from billing to GL. So we'll go over the process, generator process itself, and the next step that we will go over the journal generator setup, like what, especially the run control page, what you need to set up, like the definition, billing journal template definition. Look at that, and then set up the run control to run the journal generator process for billing, and then generating journal entry. So after we run the process itself, then the journal generator process, and then we go to the general ledger module, look at the journals created, and then verify journal accounting entries to see whether we received correct entries from billing. The next lesson is recognizing revenue from billing. But there are setups that we need to look at to see if, how to set up the deferred revenue process, and also setting up of accrual options for unbilled revenue. There are setup involved. When do you, at what level do you want to set these accrual options? So we'll look at this step in detail in this chapter. Next is generating recurring invoices. There are invoices that are recurring basis. We would look at the options and setups to generate the recurring invoices. We'll also look at how to copy the invoice and then create a new invoice from it. Next, chapter generating the installment invoices. This chapter will look at detailed setup required in order to generate the installment invoice and generating the installment bills. And finally, we look at all the main delivered reports for billing, and then we will go over in detail each one of them. So this is the kind of overall agenda, complete agenda for billing. We're going to go over the next few sessions, cover all these topics. So before we go to the day's agenda, so I just want to pause for a few seconds and ask for any questions. If you have any questions. All right. Let's go to today's agenda. As part of today's session, I'm going to go over first we'll look at the billing process flow itself. So how do we get the data and what happens in billing, and basically the end-to-end process. We'll look at this. Next is overview. So what all can we do with the billing modules. So we look at each and every features, and then we'll discuss on this. The next one is define billing business unit. We go to the navigation that is provided here, and then go to each attributes that are relevant to the billing. We'll go over the page. Next is define installation option. As with the other modules, billing also has installation options fields that we'll go over and discuss. The next one is setting financial sanction options. This is the statutory requirement from the government that certain bills needs to be audited, or in other words tracked, and to see whether any issues with the customer. Basically, it is tracking the customer, especially who have foreign subsidiaries and all that to track. This is part of the like tracking the customer if they have any do any illegal activities that affects the government as a whole, and have setups outside the country. So basically, this will discuss, the setup will and setup and the process will prevent such activities. So you need to do some setup in order to track those bills and payments. Next, we'll go over the define user preferences. Again, for certain billing specific user preferences, we'll go over as part of this discussion. And then we'll describe the accounts and chart fields briefly, and then just what is the function of that, and then quickly review that. And create distribution codes. As with any other model, we need to set up distribution codes that we want to include in on the contract or on the billing entry page. So that's all I have for today on the especially for today's agenda. And we'll start with the billing process flow. Any questions on today's agenda? All right. Okay.
Kumar,
Yeah.
are we going to cover customer also as part of billing?
Yeah, customer setup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean not today, but this is part of the agenda. I mean like complete
Okay.
agenda. If you look at the number 6, customer information.
Okay.
Okay, so let's look at this billing process flow. The main purpose of billing is to basically create enter bills and create bills and print the invoice and send it to the customer, and then send the customer balances and bill receivable information to accounts receivable module, and then send the accounting entries to general ledger. That's the basic flow, but there are other things like you can get the data from external data billing source apart from the delivered contract or order management or the asset management modules. From contract, you know that we get the bills from contract module itself, and then also from the costing module. So bills get generated from those two modules through contract application, and the other option is other interface. The source is from order management module. If you have a order management module installed, tables of order management, you will get the orders, fulfilled orders into billing module. And if you have asset management, if you are selling any any retired asset, that bill information will also be sent over to billing model for generating the invoice to the customer. So these are the sources from which we get the data from into billing application. So once we receive the data from external source, then the next step is to create the bills. So how do you create the bills? You review the interface data through the interface review page, and look at the data, verify, make sure data is correct if you are doing it manually, and then run the interface process that will validate and then create a temporary bill. So validates all the data. That's all the basic data that I can think of is the business unit and amount, and then the bill lines has information like quantity and things like that. So verify, validates all the data that we receive from the external or internal data sources, and then there is also another approval piece in between. If approval is required, then we manually review the worksheet and approve the bills. And then once you approve the bills, run the finalize and print process. That will generate the invoice based on the format that you have provided, either through the source data or through setup. It will print the invoice accordingly, and then if you're after finalizing, if you want to adjust any invoices, that you can do that, and then again validate it, and then regenerate the bills invoices again. So once you print the invoices, the next step is to create the accounting entries, and then send the both billing and accounting entries to general ledger. Accounting entries to general ledger, and then bill details to receiver application. And if there's any refund is created out of this module, it will also send it to the accounts payable. So this is the overall the main process flow for billing. Okay, features. So we look at the detailed level of what billing module as a whole, and find the points. So with the billing model, you can create bills manually. Basically enter the bill. There are situations where you would directly receive a bill from a customer, and there are some instances you have to generate the bill for the customer, and then you have to enter the bill manually instead of receiving from the source system. In that case, you would use the create bills manually, and then receive billing data from other PeopleSoft applications. So as we discussed in the previous slide, other modules are like application contract, order management, and asset management. You get the data from. And receive billing from data from non-PeopleSoft application. If you have any legacy system, any other third-party application, you would also get the data from those applications, and you can also process them through billing. Create inter and intra-unit bills. You can, if you have any intra-unit bills, like if a department, if you want to distribute a bill and charge different departments, you can use this intra-unit billing process to generate the bills. Create installment bills. You can set up the installments and generate the bills accordingly. And if you have a recurring bills, set up the recurring periods, and then generate the bills accordingly. Consolidate multiple bills on a single invoice. Let's say you have a customer, they have bought two different services, let us say, last month. One is, let's say, the implementation service. The next is, let us say, they bought a server from you. And there are two different assume there are two different contracts were created for that, and we see two different bills generated out of contracts. So what would happen is, for the customer is concerned, they don't care how many contracts are created. They want to know the total invoice as a one bill. So you could say that, okay, customer ABC, say the total amount, invoice amount is, let's say, 100,000, and then at the line level you can say the the server, the cost of the server is, let's say, 30,000, and then the next line could be the services that is rendered as 70,000. So just one invoice created for the customer is concerned, but on the billing model we have two different bills. So each bill will have the same invoice number. So you can consolidate the bills and send it to the customer. So we look at that. And review and validate the bills. So since the data is, if you get the data from third party, you can validate and review also. There's a way you can do that. And then calculate the sales, use tax, and value added taxes. So based on the setup that you've done for sales tax, use tax, and VAT, you can set up to calculate the taxes accordingly to the billing model. And then print invoices in detailed summary format, transmit through EDA process, and also present invoice online. So there's so many other ways you can present the invoices to the customer. You can print it and set it in a summarized format. And also you can directly send it through EDI interface to the customer instead of sending a paper format. You could also present the invoice online. So you could post a website, probably outside of your billing model, and then give access to the customer so that they log in and look at the bills generated from your application. And send invoice notification via email. So once the invoice is generated, you can set up a notification so that it sends the email to the customer saying invoice has been generated, and can give at the summary level, or you can attach the invoice also. So and adjusting invoice. So once you create an invoice, you want to make some adjustment, you can do that through this step. We'll go over that. Attach supporting documentation or image of invoice. Like for example, you can attach any kind of documentation, also image of invoice. You can set up there are some setup in the billing model where you can specify that when you're printing the invoice itself, you can set a flag saying that okay, once the invoice is printed, attach automatically to the invoice bill header this attachment over there. There's attribute where you can attach the invoice automatically, so that copy of the invoice available is attached to the header table. So also you can attach supporting any other documents part of the invoice. And finally, create accounting entries for bills or general ledger receivables, not accounts payable. So that after the invoice is generated, you can run the process to generate the accounting entries and bill page to receivables. So these are the features, main features that billing module has. So any questions so far before we dive into the control table setups? Right, let's go to the so we're going to define billing business unit. This is an application for that. Set up financial supply chain, business unit related billing definition, business unit. All right. So this is the billing business unit setup page. As with any other model, so you have a billing, you need to set up the billing business unit and define the billing related attributes, so that when you're actually entering the transaction, the billing bill online, these details will be populated based on setup on the business unit. And as I mentioned before, there was some hierarchy that we need to. These setups can also be set at the different level and can be overwritten on the bill line. But if you want to specify some of the defaults on the higher level, because business unit is being a higher level, the defaults that we set, you can set up like very generic defaults for the business unit, and then if you have a specific requirements at the customer level, you can override at the customer level, and at the bill line level, if you have any specific changes, you can do that at the bill line level too. We'll go over the hierarchy later, but I'm just explaining how this setup affects you when you're actually creating the bill, online bill. So as with any other business unit, you need to enter the short description and also the description of the business unit, and then the location where your business unit is operating. You have to specify that.